welcome to the show. I have a very special guest here sat next to me today. I have Jesse Dee, the Greek international, current York Knights player, and obviously one of my good mates on the podcast debut. Jesse Dee, what is the message?
Not much, bro. Thanks for having me, First podcast debut, so looking forward to it.
Looking forward to it indeed. Obviously, you're a well-decorated player over in Australia and then over here in the English Championship, but one of my good mates, so a few bits I want to get into, but why don't you tell everyone where you're from? Rilla in Wollongong. Fill us in on that, growing up in Rilla and how your rugby league journey began, I suppose.
Okay, I grew up on the south coast, grew up in Rilla. My rugby league journey, started playing for Rilla when I was like 5 or 6 years old, all the way through to under 16s, then we call it first grade back home. Like, I don't know, what do you call it over here?
First team,
Yeah, first team and that. And then kind of all the way through. Played in a few first grade grand finals there for Rilla and stuff like that. So, yeah.
And then you got picked up inevitably by St. George Illawarra Dragons. Yep. So talk about, I suppose, that transition. So you've played rugby league or footy, as you call it, your entire life. And a little bit different to myself, obviously, coming across from rugby union and getting into it. So that's been your bread and butter growing up in Wollongong. Yeah. It's everything you know. So what was it like when the Dragons reached out to you and you joined their system? And what age were you when this happened?
Oh, it was exciting, I think I was 21 when they ended up reaching out. No, it was very exciting. I had a good year at Rilla. I think I finished third in the overall comp of Player of the Year, and they just rang me and hit me up and said, "Do you want to come for a trial?" That's all it was at the start. And I just went well, started playing good footy and kind of playing everywhere, and it kind of went from there. So that was good,
Were you always a back row, or
Nah.
So how did the transition to becoming a back row happen? And you can't just blame Burger King on that. how did you start playing? Because obviously you're a dangerous back row in the championship now. A lot of teams would be previewing you because you have the halfback skills. You played half a lot for us this year. I know I'm getting a bit ahead of the career, but how did you start becoming an edge player? When the Dragons signed you, what position were you playing?
Yeah, so I was playing halves all the way through. I played halfback till I was about 21. Yeah, so I played heaps of halves for Rilla in the first team grand finals and whatnot. So been playing halves 16, 17, for a fair bit there. And then, how did I transition? I think it was, I came back from injury or something and the halves were playing well and they said, "You just want to play back row." And it just kind of went from there pretty much. I played back row and then I just haven't left really. Yeah, just put on a bit of size as back row too.
You just walk your way in. You never go back out again, do you? It just walks the way in.
My old boy said that too, as soon as you change, because it was always kind of closer where I could change to back row, centre, whatever. And he said, as soon as you change to back row, you're not going back. So it was like that, As soon as I went there, and it's good. And then when I signed at Dragons, they were as more as a utility role, was wherever you can fit in that system kind of thing. So it was good.
Yeah, and in that Dragon system, it's intense to say the least. So that was your first, I suppose, experience of top flight footy playing in an NRL environment. How was that different to Rilla? And I suppose, what did you learn from being around those blokes? Some of them are your really, really good mates, You have your blocker, Blake Lowry, and people like that, You have players who have done it all. What is it like, and what did you learn from them?
Oh, you learn a lot, I think, but it's all fairly similar. What I noticed, the skill set and whatnot, is just more professionalism. I think, how into their footy and that there are, and how cutthroat it is. You don't have a good game, you kind of straight out, straight in, and you just kind of got to be on all the time, fit and doing your job, or you're out. There's always there's someone young fellow bigger, stronger than you, just waiting, So
chomping at the bit.
Yeah, but I think playing halves early really helped to my versatility. When I was at Dragons in New South Wales Cup, it was easy. If a centre was down, they chucked me in centres. If a back row was down, I even played middle a fair bit. It was wherever they needed, and I could fill the gap, which
it's versatility.
Yeah,
isn't
it's
it?
very underrated. Probably if I could only play one position, I probably would have struggled to play, I dare say. It's just lucky I can play them positions.
And it's carried on through your career, what I've seen of it so far. So you were at Dragons for a couple of years, and then obviously life comes hard. Life comes like a ton of bricks, doesn't it? And you ended up going up to Queensland, up to Mackay, up to the mines. I suppose one of the things with that, and with that level of footy too, it's if you're not cracking the NRL, or if you're touch and go, obviously there's work opportunities, and there's things in life come up that you go, it's the same over here. If you're not quite cracking the Super League and you end up transitioning into the Championship, and you have a salary from rugby and a work salary, and then blokes get offered Super League contracts often over here and turn it down to stay in the champ because they have that double income. So what led you to heading up towards the mines, moving away from home up to Queensland, and obviously to Mackay, which is a lot further away than one may think, because the size of Australia is massive. So what was that like, and who came knocking on your door to get you playing in the Q Cup?
Yeah, so it was kind of a weird process. Like Dragons really wanted me to stay and kind of said, give it 6 months and you'll be like full time of NRL and whatnot. And I think I was just young and a bit like naive and dumb, and I just kind of spat the dummy. I wasn't on like great money, and I just thought I should be there, kind of thing. And I was like, fuck, why aren't I there? I'm playing. And Mackay Cutters offered me to go do Cup and a job in the mines, which is good money back in Australia. So I kind of just jumped at that and just wanted change. Like, I never moved away from my hometown. Just kind of got sick of it all and just wanted to try something new. And it was a good opportunity. So I thought, fuck, why not give it a go, see what happens.
And there's a couple things, I suppose, that when you're a young lad, well, firstly, you felt like you should be there. And I think when we're all young coming through our careers, you can look back and go, geez, maybe I was a bit arrogant.
Yeah.
But it's a learning curve, isn't it? And I know we spoke about that before. It's like sometimes when you're young and naive, you just think that it's your God-given right to be given that opportunity. And I think now, as you've got a bit older, like, you can see that humility and where you've come off the back of that. But then like you mentioned as well, it's when an opportunity comes like that, and they're saying it to a young lad, you can make some good money and you can get away from home.
Yeah.
It's tough to say no. So tell us a little bit about that first time you moved away from home, leaving your hometown. You're up in Queensland. You don't really know anybody. What was it like when you made that transition? Because obviously with the Dragons, you're in a NRL system, and now when you're up with Mackay, you're sort of playing in the Q Cup, which is a separate competition. So some people listening may not even know the difference between the New South Wales and the Q Cup. And what's the standards compare like? And what was that transition up to Queensland like for yourself?
Yeah, well, they were both part-time. I was part-time at Dragons and then part-time at Mackay. It was just there was a lot different, really. Probably the training, and then with Dragons, we'd always get all the NRL boys, you get like 15, 16 drop back to play Cup. At Mackay, we'd only get 4 or 5 from Cowboys, so there's a lot more opportunity there. There was a lot more team environment in Mackay, which I liked. And, yeah, probably not as professional, but yeah, it was close. It was just a completely different life, really, for me, like even lifestyle-wise and that. So it was good. And
when you get there, you get up to Queensland, you're what age are you then at this stage?
I think I was 22, 23. I can't remember. But
you've got your own place with the boys. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about that. How do you manage that transition? You're away from home now. You have the world at your fingertips. You're feeling like the man. You've got this money from the mines, and you're playing footy. Like, and Mackay is obviously a big footy town. Like, they're mad about it up there. You're like a superstar up there in your own right, because it's only rugby league up there really in Mackay. So tell us a little bit about that, and how do you manage the balance, if there is any? There's a temptation everywhere, isn't it? So what was that like when you're first away from home?
Fuck, when I first got away from home, I was rattled, to be honest. Like, I was like, well, I've got a lot of friends in Wollongong and that, and I still remember, like, I parked up and went to the shops and thought, I don't even know who to call to, like, hang out with. Like, I've never kind of been like that ever, eh? Like, proper rattled me a bit. But besides that, no, it was all good. Like, it was just, like, met a fair few. With Mackay, there wasn't many locals, so a lot of boys were coming from Sydney, from all over Queensland and that, so we just kind of stuck together, probably kind of similar to York, to be honest. Like, it was like that kind of vibe, and it was good, man. It was a great experience. Like, it was fucking awesome. Like, yeah,
some good memories. Yeah,
some great memories playing, and some great blokes, and just good lifestyle, really.
In the sun, bro.
And
then you go through that period of COVID. Obviously, New South Wales and the Q Cup sort of got cancelled. What's your thinking then? Because you're getting a little bit older. You're thinking, the competition's been cancelled. This is before you obviously ended up coming over to England. What's going through your head when the comp gets cancelled and you go, what's going on here? Like, Are you thinking about retiring? Are you thinking about just working, going back to Wollongong? How are you mentally processing this? Because I know when it happened to me, I was in Oz at the same time. I was so rattled. Like I didn't know what was going on in the world, and I think a lot of us sort of brush over that time.
Yeah,
you know, that
like
time that time of our careers, because it was 4 years ago. Now we go, yeah, it's just a blip. But at the time, obviously, you're 7 million miles away from home. You're halfway up Australia, and you're playing in this comp and working, and then the comp stops. What are you thinking?
Fuck, well, yeah, it was a weird setup for me, to be honest, because in 2018 I was playing cutters, and then it was too hard doing the mines and whatnot, so I gave it a year off doing cup and just played local in 2019. And I ended up making like the Queensland team and whatnot, and I captained the Queensland Rangers in that season. And then Mackay rang me back and like gave me like a good deal to come back and play cup. So I had to quit my job in the mines to do it though. So I've just quit my job in the mines to come back. And then COVID happened and kind of wrecked that whole situation. And then the coach who brought me back, he ended up leaving too. So it was just a tricky as situation really. And I did think about like just kind of going back in the mines and just, is it really worth it, you know, to play cup and whatnot. But I'm glad I like stuck it out. And then I think it was 2021 we came back from COVID, eh? Was it 2021? Yeah. 21 we came back from COVID and like I had a good year there in cup. So I'm glad I stuck it out, but it was definitely a difficult time, like very difficult. Especially like it felt like I gave up a lot to quit the mines to come back, and then the comp being cancelled.
The comp gets canned.
Yeah.
And when you're working, so a lot of people don't realise that in the championship, in the cup, in New South Wales Cup, the lads are working all day to then go to training, to then play on a weekend. Yeah. What is it like? Because like at the minute, yourself and myself, we don't do necessarily physical jobs, but you're working in the mines, you're underground. What's it like to then turn up and you have to train a couple nights a week, whatever it is, play on a match day? How are you managing all that? It's tough.
Yeah, well, the first year I done it, I was 7 days on, 7 days off. So on 13-hour shifts from 5:30 till 6:30 at night, and then coming back into Mackay to train and whatnot, and then even sometimes having to miss games because I was out at work. It was tough as like. Yeah, it was open cut mining, but it just got too tough in the end. I had to get a job in town in Mackay with Hastings Deering, which helped out the cutters, because it just wasn't kind of sustainable really to play footy and do that. It was way too hard. Yeah, it was way too much. Yeah, big 13-hour shifts, and then sometimes have to play off a 13-hour shift and that. Like it was fucking tough as carries.
It's madness. It's madness really, and I suppose one of the things that gets you through it is again. That young fella who came through Rilla, he's the one who was chomping at the bit for the opportunity to do so. So you're trying to live up to that, aren't you? And live up to that dream of playing footy for a living, which inevitably leads us on to you coming over here. Because after that COVID period and that year in Mackay, Newcastle come in and offer you a full-time contract, which is probably, I don't know necessarily what you expected, but they're saying, you get this phone call saying, move to the other side of the world, come over to the UK, you're up in Queensland. How did that come about, and what are you thinking?
Yeah, well, I always had my English passport, and I was always thinking about it. And even before COVID in 2019 and 18 had a few offers at like Featherstone and whatnot, but I just wasn't ready. And at the end of that season in 21, I had a good season at Mackay, and Newcastle ended up ringing like Freddie, him and O'Carroll. Kind of few mutual friends actually, because he knew Sadamana Sako, I'm good mates with him, Mackay, who played with Freddie, and then Tyron McCarthy was at Dragons when I was there, so I think he rang a few of them boys and got a reference check, and fucking hit me up. So it was pretty exciting times then. Like, I don't know if you remember the Newcastle vibe, like it was we're going to go to Super League and all that, so I was pumped up. But yeah, fuck, it is what it is now.
Yeah, it is what it is now. But no, I remember at the time Newcastle are signing all these players. They're full time in the championship. Yeah, you're sort of turning your head, going like Newcastle in itself. It's a mad city.
Yeah.
It's a great place to live. It's by the coast. You have sort of everything there. You have a great city life. So tell us a little bit about that. So obviously you've got the reference check from Freddie and Tyrone and that, who obviously I know from my time at Ireland. You land in Newcastle. You had you left Australia besides Bali at this stage?
Oh, I've played in New Zealand and Papua New Guinea. Yeah,
but you've not left that side of the world really. So you land in the UK.
Yeah.
What are you thinking? Are you thinking, where's the next flight back up? Or is this novelty to you? Or what's going through your head when you get to Newcastle? You're seeing what's going on. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it was a bit different, that's for sure. Well, I had to leave without my missus too because she still had a few things on, so I come by myself. I probably just didn't expect it, the weather, and I think Freddie took me to Starbucks straight away, so straight up shit coffee.
You're drinking the world's worst coffee. You're having the world's worst coffee. You're thinking, what on earth? It's freezing cold. Because when you get into pre-season, you've left peak summer in Mackay or Wollongong, and you're landing in 4 degrees, lashing rain, grey skies, drinking absolute vomit coffee.
Oh, mate.
What's going through? You're coming off the back of jet lag. What's going through your head? And how did you settle into Newcastle?
Yeah, it was different. I was just trying to adjust to it, to be fair. But all them boys were all new at the club too, so they were really good, like Mitchy Clark and all them. So like there was a good group there that kind of looked after me a fair bit, and I think I was the only Aussie that come over, so they kind of looked after me. We were full time. It was just the weather, really, like the weather and the cold. Like that's what kind of rattled me the most, but. It was a good vibe, and I still had Fieldy was over here in Manchester, and a few other people who I could go hang out with at that time, which really helped. When you could talk to people about who have gone through the same situation.
Absolutely,
so that helps heaps.
And when you get offered a full-time contract after being in the mines, playing in the cup, what's going through your head? Are you thinking let's go, or what are you thinking there? Because obviously it's a big decision. I know it's full-time, but you're moving to the other side of the world. What's going through your head?
I was excited, bro. I was excited. Like, it's a challenge, isn't it? Like, I still got that, I guess, that bit of fire. Yeah, but it's like, oh, fuck, let's go, let's see where it's at. And my mum's English too, so, I've always wanted to see where she was from. I wanted to see where she was from and what life could have been like and whatnot, and just wanted to kind of see how it goes over there and kind of prove a point over here. So, wasn't here just to fucking chill out, you know what I mean? I'm not here just to chill out.
And you get to make your championship debut. Who was that against?
Fuck who? Workington away.
Workington,
I think something like that, yeah.
Workington away. That is the baptism of fire right there.
Workington, Barrow, was it work? Something like that in January when I first come over. The trials, we had Barrow in January. We might have had Workington, it was the worst. That's what I was like, fuck. This footy sucks.
You were looking at the flights home.
Bro, I was just like, this is not even near fun to play them kind of games.
It's freezing and the mud bath, going up to. I remember my first trip to Workington away, January pre-season friendly as well. I was 18 years old. We sent pretty much a full academy with Huddersfield, and you get up there and you've never seen mud like it. You didn't know that mud could be that thick, could you?
Nah, bro.
You're thinking, what's going on?
What do you think? Even Betsy, one of the games we played, he's been around, and he said that was the worst conditions I've ever seen. In a game, it was just rain and you couldn't see anyone, bro. It was fucked up.
Your fingers are hurting. You're thinking, what is going on here?
Oh fuck!
And inevitably, that season didn't go as planned. Not just for yourself, but for the whole club. You got a pretty bad injury. You got a shoulder.
Yep.
Ended up with a shoulder recall, but you got that injury and played on for through that injury. So tell us a little bit about that, and I suppose the mentality of going through that injury, and then you ended up with latter J surgery. But what was that like? Because you're playing for Newcastle, it happens, and then you play again, and it happens again. And then you play again and it happens again pretty much. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it wasn't good, just got over here, kind of wanted to prove a point, and, Freddie and that bring me over here. Really want to do a good job. And, I think I scored a try against Lee and someone just landed on it and it's kind of just come out. And I was just going, I've never really had many injuries. I've done my bicep before and my hand, but nothing like that. And I was trying to rehab it, thinking I'd get better, and it just kept kind of coming out every week. And it just got to the point where I had to have the Rico, which it was a shame, man. It was tough as going through a bit of adversity like that on the other side of the world. You don't have your family, your friends there with you too. You're kind of just doing your own thing, but it's a part of the game when you once learn, don't you?
Yeah, it's a shit part of the game though.
It is a shit part of the game.
You get this shoulder Rico. You're in Newcastle, but at this stage, had your missus come over with you?
Yeah, she came over in March, but Yeah, it was tough for her too because we only got together 2021, so it was hard. She'd probably never been around that, been seeing someone injured and,
The dark times,
yeah,
the black dog
barking.
the black dog barking, as we say. But yeah, I think it's something that's an interesting one because we've both been through it. We've been through shit like that, and I think it's again something that's not really talked about. So you're in a team environment that aren't doing the way they should. You feel like you could be out there helping out,
Yeah.
but inevitably you're sidelined. What's going through your head, and how are you dealing with it? Because I feel off the back of that, your growth and your mentality has, well, from that into getting to know you at York, like you've just gone on a curve of mental growth and things like that. But what's going through the head at the time, and how are you dealing with it?
Fuck, I was struggling with it, to be honest. I was thinking about just going home. Like, I was proper struggling with the ups and downs of rugby. But I guess you just got to, next job, like, just got to keep going and, just try to nail my rehab, get the shoulder right. And then, like, the York opportunity come about. And I think that lit a bit of fire when I met with Clint. But at the time, it was tough. Injuries are tough, You just got to get through it. And I got like fucking really good mates back home, like even like Blocker, Blakey, Laurie, always on the phone, and heaps of other boys talking about it. And I think probably from that dip, I just kind of just said fuck it, and like my mental probably just grew after that. Probably shoulder probably put me through a bit, So.
And do you think as a result of that, that's made you lean further into the recovery aspect, the mental aspect? Because I feel like off the back of that, and knowing your story well, off the back of that, you started leaning more into focusing on your recovery, nailing your nutrition, not maybe being out as much, getting all those little 1%ers right. And I know that's part of getting older as well, and you might say that's getting older, but off the back of going through that shit now you're like you're a machine. You don't leave a stone unturned. Do you know what I mean? So I think off the back of that, do you feel like that sort of made you go, listen, I might be getting a little bit older, these injuries, these niggles and things like that, I really need to nail the 1% things?
100%. We just don't want to have an excuse for why you got injured. I just try and nail everything now so you don't go back there and fuck, I done my bicep this year. Things happen, but at least you'd like done everything you can not to get injured. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's the way you got to look at it. If you know yourself, you've done everything. That's the main thing, isn't it? If you know deep down that you didn't do the recovery and didn't do these little rehab sessions and that, like, in your head that you could have done more, and I don't want to be like that. I want to know I've done everything,
Absolutely. You can't leave that stone unturned. And speaking of the bicep, inevitably this year, unfortunately, you ended up with a bicep operation, but you're back playing now. How many weeks did it take you to get back? 12 weeks. Quick, 12 weeks. And I think that's testament to you and what you've done and your personal growth again. So like, we've been on this journey now that brings us up to playing at York together, and that's when we first got to know each other. But just on the bicep, like a 12-week recovery from a bicep tear, Rico, that's insane. And I think the investment you put in yourself, like getting the ice baths, getting in the saunas, doing the red light, doing all those 1% things, that's the stuff no one sees. That's the stuff no one sees. So what does it take to turn up every single day for Jesse Dee? Because you're not doing it for anyone else.
Yeah, I think I just wanted to get back so bad and just wanted to prove a point, really. Like, like it's like that thing, a bit of adversity, like you can show kind of what you're made of in them times too. We can come back quicker and, I think we got a young group here too at York, which makes me want to, like, you can't just talk the talk, you got to like lead by example too. So I wanted to show them how to like do it positively and kind of get back as quick as you can, not just talk about it. So
actions, bro.
Yeah, you got to action. You got to action it, bro.
That's your favourite saying, isn't it? Actions,
you
bro.
do.
And I think since being around you, you've been the biggest influence on my mental growth in terms of my playing career, because I feel like as we spoke about, when you're young, you believe that maybe you don't even know that you do, but you think you have a God-given right to be there. Do you know what I mean? And you don't think that you're arrogant, but you just think that maybe you're better than what you are. And it's not necessarily because of you as a person. I know I wouldn't have seen myself as an arrogant person, but I probably thought that I was more than what I was.
Yeah.
And having someone like in a senior position who's been through that themselves to lean on and to speak about and to hold you accountable to what you're saying, that's you can't buy that. You can't create that, and that's what you've been within our team this year. So when you got to York, obviously it's a bit different to Newcastle. We had a brand new group again when you came in.
Yeah.
I signed up here permanently, and we obviously inevitably formed the crew that's up here, and the teammates and the camaraderie. But what was it like at the start, moving across from Newcastle, getting to York, and I suppose how have we grown over the last 2 seasons to the point now we're sat here and in 2 days' time we're playing in the semi-final of the championship against the top of the league, Wakefield.
Yeah. Well, from that, what you're saying with the actions and that, I think like them things I learnt from like senior boys when I was around too, like even some of my really good mates in Rilla, the group I grew up with, I was like 16, 17 playing first team, and all these boys are 30, 35, and I think like I've always kind of had that mentality because I've learnt from some tough cunts, really, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they've kind of shown me the way, and that's what I've kind of always had with me, and try and help like other young boys and help people. And then, about the York journey. Well, obviously I knew Ada, didn't I? So me and Ada played at Mackay Cutters together in 2021. So I think he mentioned to Clint that I was looking to come over. Had a coffee with Clint, went from there, and then when I was obviously a bit like, I had the shoulder Rico, you know, you always have them little doubts in your head, like, do I still have it after that shoulder Rico and whatnot? But it was just a mad group when I got to York, to be honest, like Danny Kerman and Clarkey and Akuma. I was at Newcastle with Akuma, so all them boys, and then it was real good being back with Ada, to be honest. Like, some of them blokes, like, they kind of build your confidence up. Do you know what I mean? Like, they remind you the player you are when you're having doubts, when you're coming off an injury and that. So, yeah, being with, like, Ada and a few blokes like that just, like, kind of boosted my confidence and just got me keen to get out there playing. And then it was like the old Groundhog Day, went home, injured my pec when I was back home for Christmas for fucking 3 weeks, just doing, like, a gym exercise. So I missed the first game. Like, I think, do you remember that round 1 against Widnes? Missed that, and so I was like, "Fuck, I don't know what's doing here." And then come back for Bradford, and I was like lucky enough to get me in the match. So just like a bit of that full circle, like, yeah, stuff like that.
And it does always come full circle, this sport, and I think that no matter what you go through in this environment. There's always a bit more adversity.
Yeah.
Just when you've thought you've seen it all, there's a little bit more adversity to come. And I think that's one of the biggest frustrations and probably the biggest mental test yourself went through it, and Atta, who you live with, went through. And I think you both have leaned on each other in the sense that it's good that you have had each other to get through those moments, because you can't predict the injuries sometimes. No. You can't predict the pec tears, the hamstrings, things like that. Especially when you're nailing everything and something like that comes up. It's the most frustrating thing in the sport, and your mentality has been literally next job. As long as I've known you, next job. What can I do? And controlling the controllables. So when you are going through the roller coaster that is rugby league, what do you use to ground yourself and bring yourself back to, this is why I do what I do?
Because I love it. I love rugby league. Yeah. I've always like I met like the best people for rugby. Like, that's how I always look at it. You know, there's always going to be downs with injuries, but fuck, it's good. Like, the people you meet through it, like all my best mates are through rugby league, like career, everything. Over here, I'm over the other side of the world because of rugby league. So that's how I look at it. Like, there's ups and downs, but fuck.
The battles.
Yeah, the battles, but fuck, it is what it is, and I wouldn't change it, eh?
You'd never change it.
I'd never change it, bro.
And what we spoke about a few weeks back, we were sat after a good win. I can't remember who we played on a Sunday. It was Jimmy Kinehorse. It was his last game for the club. Was it Dewsbury?
Yeah.
So Jimmy, another legend of the game.
Jimmy Miller.
Jimmy's retiring. It's his last game against Dewsbury. We all go for a big feed afterwards, and we're sat there and we're saying there's nothing quite like going to war with your best mates. Having that battle, and then you get to sit around, have a feed, have the crack, or whatever we may be doing. You get a weekend off, you get to go away. There's nothing like that can be created in a regular work environment, is there?
Nah. There's just such a good bond, bro. It's so good. Like, yeah, in all walks of life, like, everyone's kind of grew up different, haven't they? Like, fucking me, you grew up so different, but we're fucking, like, great mates, you know what I mean? Like, same as Ada, same as fucking Jimmy. Like, it's just funny how it can bring you together. you know, rugby league can bring you together. So it's fucking mad.
It's a crazy old world, and I suppose speaking of crazy stories, what I wanted to get into talking about was there's plenty, so we can't discuss. But one of the ones that I wanted to talk to you about was Jesse Dee, the Greek international.
Oh, yeah.
So
Greek.
Jesse ended up playing for Greece in what year?
Sydney, yeah, 2016.
2016. Yep. So there's about as much Greek in you as there is Aussie in me. So can we go on about how on earth you ended up playing for Greece? And to be honest, what's it like? Because like you've played, I'm an international. You've played an international. What's it actually? What's it like when you stood with the Greek flag out in Sydney playing for Greece? Like what is the go there? Because our sport is mad, and you have to be mad to play this sport, or I'm certain that you won't last. The black dog bag's too loud for you not to be mad, but. You end up playing for Greece. How on earth does that happen?
I didn't think you'd bring this up, to be fair. That's fucking
stitch up.
Yeah, that's a massive stitch up. Oh, one of my very close mates, Nick Nikitaris, he played for Greece. He's a bit older than me, and I can't remember what. Maybe they had a few injuries, so they were short, and they were like, "Oh, do you want to just come down and train?" And I was like, "Yeah, sweet, come down and train." And then they were playing at the Cabramatta Nines things, and then they said, "Oh, yeah, you can play." End up playing, won a few games, hold the flag,
get the photo.
Yeah. So that's all it was, bro. It was just kind of random as. So I was cheering, but it was gone.
And this was before you'd even stepped foot in Greece.
Yeah,
but you followed it up.
Yeah.
So I suppose the beauty and one of the big incentives for yourself and a lot of Aussies coming over here is you get to see a bit of the world. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And we've been on some good travels and that, but. What's that like when you like? Obviously, you get to the UK. It's grey. It's fairly wet. But then you get to go see these countries that you've never seen before. And what's that like in terms of opening up your mind? Because we always talk about your perspective is everything. So like I think we try to be glass half full. None of us are perfect. It is half empty at times, especially on the losing streaks that we've been through over the last 2 years. But what's it like when you're getting about and you're traveling, you're going to your Greeces and your Spains and your Maltas and what's that like?
Fuck, it's the best, bro. Like it's so good. I love traveling. Some of the boys back home call me the Traveller now, so I've got that nickname. But no, like just growing up in Rilla, I didn't even really think I'd even get to Europe really because it's so far away. I guess Australia to Europe, and I'd see some people travelling. Like mum and dad never really done any Europe, and my nan and pop never been to Europe, so I never kind of even pictured kind of going. Like you kind of see the photos and that, and then I remember when I signed at Newcastle, and then got to go on a few trips. It was kind of just like I don't know, like a weird moment, Like fuck, I can't believe I'm here. Like just kind of I don't know, just felt like just grew up in real. I didn't think not much else was gonna kind of happen, And then footy's kind of kicked on a little bit and got me the opportunity to go over there. So yeah, it's awesome, man. And it's probably made me grow up so much going overseas and like seeing perspective of life and how I didn't even really know people. I knew people spoke different languages and that, but I remember when I first went to France, I was like, what? Like just like stuff like that, and just how good Australia is and how good Rilla is, and like it's like Australia. I just think Australia's like one of the best places in the world now, and same as Europe and that too. But just the lifestyle just really puts perspective into your life, when you travel. I think it's the best thing ever.
We talk about that a lot. Perspective is your reality, isn't it?
It is, mate. It is.
It's everything, and I think one of my favourite memories of us is our first proper trip. So we've been to Toulouse together to play. That was a good laugh on that, and I think that started the crack really. But we went on our first holiday, myself, yourself, and Antrobus, and we're sat on Magaluf Strip. Magaluf Strip. Right, firstly, we didn't realise that we'd booked the one weekend to go to Mallorca. We didn't go to Magaluf, and we're trying to get away from rugby. Yeah, and it's the beach rugby sevens tournament on, and we're just surrounded by rugby. It's everywhere. But we're on Magaluf Strip, and we're talking to this Irish person. And I start firing in a bit of Irish. And you and Bailey, you couldn't pick your jaws off the floor if you tried. And you go, I didn't realise Ireland had their own language.
Mate, we're fucking far away in Australia. We got no idea. Oh, good times, bro. Jeez, we've had some great times travelling too, like Malta and that. Like, some of the best, like, it'll be the best times of your life. You look back, like, no doubt. Like, some of the travels what did we go? Marbella, fucking
All over
Malta, Milan. Like, it's so good. You know, I don't think you won't realize how good it is until it's kind of we're down the track.
You're
Got
looking
kids
back
and
at it.
fucking
Houses and dogs, and you're thinking,
and we can't get away anymore. You know,
you're thinking about those memories, and you're going, that was as good as it gets. That was as good as it gets. And where would you say your favourite one, your favourite trip was?
I'm going to get in trouble here if I say boys trip. Oh, Malta was like, fuck, I loved Malta. That Malta trip was awesome, but I guess I just remember, like, you know, when I went to Paris, that was probably the first, like, big city, like, I went to with Jen when we went away, or Santorini, and just being like, fuck, like, I can't believe I'm here kind of thing.
It's
like,
not real.
Nah, just didn't feel real. Probably there, but then that Malta Milan trip was good. You know,
Yeah, no, they were good.
They're all different, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're all like mad trips in their own right.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think when we were in Malta, myself and yourself were rooming together, and obviously we can try and be serious on here as much as we want, but we're not very serious blokes. So we came back the first night. Obviously, few beers on us. And myself and Fieldy jumped in the pool in the hotel, and we get back to the room, and Fieldy and Bailey and I had to go to bed, and me and you obviously pick up the room phone, and we go to Bailey because the booking was in his name or whatever. Hello, Mr. Antrobus. We have reports of people jumping in the pool, and Bailey. So we hear a rap on the door. Bailey's knocking on you. I'm in the bathroom crying, and you're like, "What's up here?" And he goes, "Babe's they're fucking after jumping in the pool. Look, we're gonna get kicked out." You've kept the straightest face. And I am in tears, and Bales is down at reception asking about the pool, fessing up that we've just been in it, and the receptionist is laughing his head off.
Mate.
That is as good as it gets.
One of many stories. Fuck, so many good stories, bro. So many good times. Fucking hell.
The best. I think one of the things myself and you always talk about is the Latin saying "memento mori."
Yeah.
Remember, you must die.
Yeah.
How does one live that every day? Because I think that's the goal, isn't it? You have to. We like it because it's true, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. We just got to live in the present and live like tomorrow's, not going to be there. I guess that's the whole point of it, and just do things, that's going to be positive and fuck back yourself, hey. You know what I mean? Like, not live for tomorrow. That's the main thing.
Living for today.
Yeah, living for today.
Living for today, and I think the lessons learned off the back of that have been the personal growth, hasn't it? By living for today has been the personal growth, and that's a journey that we've been on from last season to this. And I think one of the things I really wanted to discuss with you is going sober.
Oh yeah,
because it's something that obviously we both started the year doing 75 hard, which is a challenge that in its own right is pretty challenging. But you've nearly done the full year sober.
Yeah,
you've been sober for basically since last off season. What has that been like for you? And what makes a man go sober? In that sense, obviously we're professional athletes and we don't really drink, but to go completely dry is a feat in itself. And you've basically done nearly a full year of it. And I think it's from personal experience of doing the 99 days at the start of the year and doing 75 hard, it's not something that's easy.
No.
So what was that like? What's that journey been like?
It's been good, man. I've enjoyed it. I think, just probably had a fair few poor choices when I was drinking, and it was kind of time to grow up, really. And it's not good. It just didn't feel good for me. It's not that I'm going to stay sober forever, but I just thought that it was a good time to just have a good spell, and I want to have a good year in footy and just really just have a good year and just stay away from it. So just something I thought about. I've been thinking about probably for ages, years, and it was just one of them ones where I just had to action it, and that's what I wanted to do, and I was just going to stick to it. So it's been good, man. I've actually enjoyed it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Well, we like to call ourselves security now, don't we, when we go on nights out? The old secchi. But I do think that going sober is something that every man and every person should do at some stage of their life, just to experience that self-discipline. Yeah. And I think we've gone on that journey and that roller coaster of forced discipline like beyond our protocol in our sport, because there's a balance between enjoying a beer or working out, but to go to the extremes that you go to on the daily, on the weekly, on the yearly, and over this whole season has been I suppose some may say above and beyond your calling. You may not think that, but that's been a journey in itself. And the respect, firstly, it's hats off, because it's been tough. And there's been times you've probably thought when you do your bicep, when we've won 3 from 10 at the start of the year, and you're thinking, I just want to drown my sorrows.
Yeah.
But you've stuck to your guns. And on the flip side of that, in the good moments when we beat Toulouse in France and things like that, and you're going, geez, and we're on holiday in Milan at the football game with 80,000. There's moments when you've had to stay disciplined on that. And what does that discipline do to you on the field and off the field as well? Like, how does it make you feel?
Oh, you definitely build some like mental resilience. Yeah, like you said, like there's nearly always an excuse to drink, isn't there? Like with the France trip and whatnot. And yeah, it's just good to. It's I guess that thing of just saying no at times. Like you're kind of doing this thing for a reason, and just I think it's good for footy, for your recovery aspect and just your mental strength, and it kind of gets you. I think it's made me concentrate more. Like I've probably read more books. Do you know what I mean? Like these little things that you start nailing habits, you get more time. Been reading more books, been doing more things for me, because like I haven't been drinking, haven't been hungover the next day, and I think that all reflects on the field. Like it's a big circle, isn't it? Like you start getting knowledge and getting wisdom, and that's going to reflect on the field, really.
And that's been massive, the personal growth over the last year. I've seen it from a friendship perspective, and as a player you've grown, as a person you've grown. But what are the daily habits that you've got off the back of that? You mentioned reading. What does a day look like to you, and how do you action? Because it's one thing saying action it, but what are the actions you're actually taking in a day? I know what you're doing, but what does it feel like to be getting up, ice baths, reading? What is that like in a day, and a typical day for Jesse Dee?
Yeah, I love it though. Yeah, it's good. But like, I usually get up, have an ice bath now, read my 10 pages. I was going to your Blaze classes for a bit there, but
win the morning, win the day.
Win the morning, win the day. But now, one of the boys, Sammy Cook's moved over, and he's into his gym. So me, him, Atta, and Neeks have kind of been going to the gym together every morning, getting that done. Just get my steps in, just trying to get better, eh? Like been enjoying reading, just like. Yeah, more some autobiographies and saunas and just nailing little stuff, eh?
Nailing the 1%.
Nailing the 1%.
And you've mentioned that little crew there, and I think one of the biggest things we've had over the last 2 years at York, especially this year, is we've had a tight-knit group of blokes, but a mad environment. Like, you'd never leave me a day leave a stone unturned. You've held me accountable to everything that I've done. Yeah. I got my shoulder up at the start of the year. You went through a shoulder up. Every step of the way, you held me accountable to what I was doing. And I think now the group that we have is the reason that we've all bounced off each other and trampolined towards a greater version of ourselves. But what does that environment mean to you, and what does that environment look like? Because I've been on the flip side of that. I've been in losing teams and in shit environments where we're bottom of the championship, or you lose every game and no one's doing the extras, you're running off the field. And how can that snowball into either a positive winning team or, on the flip side of it, a negative losing team?
I think it's just actions again, isn't it? Like, I just try and lead. Like, you can't control what everyone else is doing. I just got to nail what I'm doing and then hope. Like, in a footy aspect, nail them little passes, and then you come with me. Other people come with me, and then it just starts a chain. That's the way I look at it. You can't be saying one thing and not doing it. So if I'm saying all this stuff and I'm not doing anything, everyone's gonna look and think it's not a thing. So I think the biggest thing is just nailing what you're doing first, and then if people want to follow, they'll follow, and if they don't, it is what it is. But you just gotta hold. Yeah, you gotta leave them behind.
Burn the bridges.
And it's gonna happen eventually. Either way, they're gonna they're not gonna be there, I guess, in sport. So yeah, that's pretty much it, bro.
That's how it goes. And now to move on towards past this week in the semi-final, you're staying another year round at York. How do you feel you've grown into the leadership aspect in this York team and within yourself as a player? So you came over to England, like you had that season at Newcastle. I feel like you're a cog in the York team now. You're a cog. A cog. Would you call it a cog?
What's a cog?
A cog. You're something that makes the parts move. Do you know what I mean? Like
right,
you're a leader in what we do.
Yeah.
As a young player coming through, a young forward, I've leaned on you a lot for advice for when I was in the shit. Really, I wasn't playing. I wasn't in my best form. I look to you for advice, and you've steered me in the right direction on the things that I can work on, and I suppose really help me become a tougher player mentally and physically, and held me accountable to what I'm doing. But what is it like taking on a bit more of a leadership role? Do you feel that added pressure on a game day, or is it just another day in the life?
Just another day in the life, bro. Just another day in the life. No, I think I've always liked helping people. Always wanted to lead and help, and I feel like I've learned a lot, like in the footy aspect, like mentally and like I guess technically. So if I can help people, like why not help them? Do you know what I mean? That's the way I look at it, and still try and nail my thing. And I love leading by example too. So it's like that thing where just take blokes with you. That's what my old boy always said: lead the way and take people with you. Why not, bro?
That's it.
And if they don't want to take the advice and they want to do their own thing, that's up to them. I reckon the good people will come,
Sink or swim, isn't it?
That's it, bro.
It's sink or swim, isn't it?
I got you, Mardo, and Antrobus, I got you all. The flax.
The whole
flax.
The whole flax, the whole flax under your wing, looking after us well, and that you have, in fairness. And as I said, for over the last couple of years, getting to know you, you've genuinely been a massive part of my growth. And I think it's one of those things that sometimes you need someone who's just going to tell you the truth as it is.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you're not afraid to say, like, you've had a shit game. Do you know what I mean? Or you need to be better at doing that. Do you know what I mean? And actual accountability, I think, something that a lot of people don't have in their life is actual accountability.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And to be
100%.
accountable to someone, and to be someone who's holding someone accountable, that's something you takes a lot of trust. Because I went through a lot this year. My form was up and down, but you were the only one who was genuinely saying, this is the truth. This is what you need to work on. This is what you need to reflect on, and this is the environment that you need to work on to change what you're doing and to find that next level. And I think that having accountability is massively important, isn't it?
I think that's always been me, bro. I've always been like that straight shooter too. Like, I'll kind of just say it how it is. Probably got me in trouble a couple of times too, you know what I mean? But, and like, like the people I care about, like fuck you, I care about you, care about a lot of people. Like, I want to help and say, I want you to be better. I'm not just going to watch what you're not doing good at. You know what I mean? And just watch you not get better. I'm going to try and help. I think that's what most people should do. And like, it's kind of like a legacy thing. Hopefully there's a young bloke when you're 30 or whatever and you're doing the exact same thing to him. Do you know what I mean? Like, helping him come through. I think that's how it should be. That's what happened to me. I had older boys help me through, and it should be like the same kind of thing. That's what I think anyway. That's how I look at it.
It's so true. And both you and I have had a lot of time around Akuma, and I came through Huddersfield under Akuma, and he was massive for me. He's probably still been massive for you, and he's not that much older than you in one aspect, but he still is, and he's that true legacy of leadership. And leadership, I don't think it's something that you can create, can you? It's just it's within you, and you can be fake about it and talk the talk. And we've all seen that, and people talk a lot, but like you said, it's all action.
But you don't respect them if it's all talk.
No,
that's the thing, do you? You see it, you gotta do it, eh? You don't. Someone telling you to climb the mountain and they haven't climbed it, you're really gonna. Do you know what I mean? Like, listen. So yeah, it's stuff like that. And
what does the future hold at York for yourself? Another year, another 365 around the globe. How does the year look ahead? Obviously, we're not seeing too far past the semi-final, but what does next year? What do you feel like you're building here at the minute?
I just want to get through this year first, I think. Yeah, hopefully go well this weekend. And then, we'll go from there. And next year, just see what happens, really. I guess I don't really want to think too far ahead at this stage. Just play good footy now and then go home for a month, come back and then rip in. Same old story, eh? Got a good crew here still, so look forward to that. And just reassess at the end of next year and write some goals down and what I want to do and go from there. And that's been big for you, hasn't it? Journaling and writing down and visualising what you want to achieve. Yeah, 100%. What does that do for you? Fires me up, bro. Gets that dog going.
Gets that dog going.
Yeah,
Gets that dog
yeah,
going.
yeah.
Known as the Rampage.
Nah,
Jesse Dee, the Rampage.
Nah, fires me up, bro. I love that stuff. I love like that mental edge stuff, and
That 1%.
yeah, I love that stuff, like Mike Tyson and all that kind of stuff. Like proper fires me up. So just get back to that, do some visualization, and go from there.
Winning those daily battles.
100%, bro. 100%.
Well, Jesse Dee, that was a serious message.
Serious message.
Thank you for coming on.
Thanks, bro.